What's going on, everybody? I know it looked like it said on the thing Thursday, but I actually put it for tonight. So I know a lot of you will come on in, and most of you know I do my show on Wednesday. So y'all can come on in. We're gonna get ready to get started. We're gonna talk playoffs. I may have a couple of guests coming on. Not sure yet. On that, I'm catching up with a couple of people. Maybe they may be able to come on. If not, it'll just be me, and we're still gonna have, uh, we'll keep going from there. But we're gonna definitely have a good time, and we're gonna get this show started. Talking Titans, Bengals, AFC divisional round, and we're gonna try to get we gotta work to get the Titans to the AFC championship so that they can go ahead and so they can go ahead and get to the Super Bowl. And I may be joined by Mike Bishop from the Power Hour. I've been on his show a couple of times, and I'm going to bring him on to the show as well. So I see we got a few people up in here. DO9, we got 615 Podcast. Katava Hall's been camping out, so I definitely appreciate that. Make sure y'all share this show out to everybody. Let everybody know the show is going on now, so that way they can come on and tune in as well. And we're going to get this show started in just under 60 seconds. Good evening, Titan Nation. How's everybody? Good evening, Titan Nation. How's everybody doing? Welcome in to TNT tonight. Since I am live from the Man Cave, the Truth Studios, aka the Man Cave. I'm your man Chris, aka Blue Enforcer, and we're gonna have a great episode for you on this evening. And I have a very special guest coming on in just a few moments. But before we do, make sure y'all share this show out. Make sure y'all share this show out on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. And make sure y'all hit that like button. We need a bunch of likes tonight. Help me get to around 70 likes on this show. Let's get a lot of people in here. As more people get in, everybody that comes in, please hit that like button. You're helping me, and I would really appreciate the support. Also, of course, you can follow any of the channels on the ticker at the bottom. You got the Facebook page, Titans and Truth. That's the main page where all the episodes will go. The TNT Enforcers page, you can kind of interact with some of the other fans and myself included. On Instagram at Titans_N_Truth, and on Twitter at TNT Blue Enforcer. Also, I do appreciate super chats anytime that they come out. I do appreciate those as well. So please make sure you do like, share, comment, and subscribe to the show if you have not already. But without any further ado, I'm going to bring in a very special guest. He represents the Power Hour, and he is a friend of the show, been on this show many times, and I'm going to bring him on to present to some and introduce to others the one and only Mr. Michael Bishop of the Power Hour. Let's get him in here. All right, Mr. Bishop, how you doing, sir? Welcome into the show. Hey, Mike, I got you. Trying to see if we got our guest on the line.
I can't hear you, Truth. I'm sorry.
Oh, oh, we got a little problem. Okay, let's see if we can work this out, y'all. We're gonna make this work, everybody. We're gonna make this work. Let me see. Can you give me now? Any good? Okay, we might be having some difficulties right now, making sure that Mr. Power Hour is on with us. Let's see. We're gonna make sure everybody is in. Let me see. Give me just a second. We're gonna
I
make.
got you. I got you, Christopher.
Oh, you got me. Okay, there we go. There we go.
I
Good.
got you.
All right. Well, ah, had me nervous for a second there. Mike, how you doing? Welcome to the show. Glad to have you joining us on this show. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. I just got off work, but I had enough time to get my material prepared, so we're good to go.
Hey, that is very much appreciated. And again, I know it was kind of short notice, but I thank you for coming on with me as usual, and thank you for having me on the Power Hour quite a few times. I said I need to return the favor, so I know this is probably a little short, but I definitely appreciate you popping in to join me. But first off, on the show, I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on this past Super Wild Card weekend, as everybody you see on the ticker you see the scores from the AFC side of things on Super Wildcard Weekend. What were some of your thoughts from Super Wildcard Weekend that you saw some of these games and how they turned out?
Well, really, I mean, most of the games were just beatdowns. It was kind of like watching Big Brother take on Little Brother. The two games of interest, I think, were probably the Raiders and Cincinnati and Cowboys and the 49ers. Those games definitely had a better element to them, and it seemed like they were both a little evenly matched up. But on the other side, we knew the Bills were better than the Patriots. We knew that most of these other teams that matched up really weren't going to have much trouble. Tampa Bay took care of Philadelphia easily. Along those lines, it was kind of a hum ho wild card weekend, to be honest.
Yeah, that is true, and I see we got quite a few people here. Keisha, Jameson, P Shark, Tighten Up Podcast. Y'all check them out too. Definitely shout out to them. And I was kind of surprised. I was a little surprised at some of the beatdowns that did happen. The Kansas City beatdown of Pittsburgh, I think, was probably the most easily predicted. I think we all expected something like that to happen. Um, the Raiders Bengals game, I watched that game intently because I figured one of those teams is probably our next opponent, most likely. And for the you know Cincinnati controlled a lot of that game, but the Raiders, they were right there. They were in it. They had their opportunities, but unfortunately, they had a couple of turnovers. Had the strip sack of Derek Carr, and that messed them up. And things like that, and then the interception at the end of the game. But there are some things that happened in that Cincinnati game that I think the Titans could definitely take advantage of, and that's something that we'll talk about later in the show. But I thought that was probably the best matchup that I watched of the weekend. Um, the I'm gonna go ahead and get this over with because I was gonna save this for later, but I just think the way that we're talking about wild card weekend, I kind of got to do this now, and I hope this doesn't come back to bite me in the tail. For Dallas Cowboy fans out there, I'm sorry to say, it just seems like y'all just added on to my misery because all I needed y'all to do was win. That's it. I had y'all winning. I figured they're at home, playoff atmosphere. They have a better offense. I thought the Cowboys were going to win. How stupid and silly of me to go with the Cowboys instead of the 49ers, knowing in my mind, I'm like, maybe the 49ers might do this. I don't know. I thought Dallas was going to do it, and they let me down, and it leads me to some of these images that I got to give it to the Cowboy faithful like this. I'm sorry. I mean, the misery of it all is just all over this place. I mean, this dude just like, this is the worst night of my life. I don't even want to touch you right now. Get away from me. I don't like you
It's
anymore.
okay.
I
It's
want to break
okay.
up.
You want to get some ice cream? You want to get some McDonald's?
Exactly. And then the next vision, this is a great one, is this lovely lady who comes to find out she saw herself as a meme really quick, showed the picture to her homegirl, and they were cracking up. They were cracking up, but I'm pretty sure she was not cracking up at the end of that game. So that was pretty that was pretty funny. And another image, of course, right here. He knows he's not getting none. He knows he's not getting none that night. It is over. There's no need to even try. You're not getting any that night. It's over for you. The Cowboys probably, as Stephen A. Smith said, ruined their relationship. Probably ruined their relationship or their marriage or anything like that because they lost so bad. And so, and then of course, I just, oh
She
God, I
was.
feel bad.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for this young lady. I do. Because I mean, she
And there's
literally
still
was
time in the game.
yeah, there was still time in the game and she was gonna bust into tears. I just, oh my goodness. And there's a method to my madness, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm gonna tell you why in just a minute. But to finish it off, the guy that I sometimes have a love-hate relationship with, I mean, he just loves to clown on Dallas Cowboy fans. And in a very small way, I do too, because I'm sorry. Dallas Cowboy fans think that they are the center of the universe. They think it's all about them and no other fan base matters, which, I mean, true, you're kind of supposed to think like that, but we know Dallas Cowboy fans take it times 1,000, and it messes them up when they lose. So seeing Stephen A kind of harp on the Cowboys and troll on them, it was some of the most funny entertainment that I could ever possibly imagine. Cowboy Nation, I'm kind of sorry I had to do that to you. Hopefully that is not a sign of things to come. Hopefully I will not have to choke on my words this weekend. So that's what I'm hoping for. Mike, as I went through my collage, what were your thoughts on some of those brazen images?
I mean, yeah, it's life as a Dallas Cowboys fan. I mean, it's always 1996 somewhere,
Exactly.
but unfortunately, not this year.
And I will say this to Steeler fans, I haven't forgotten about you either, because see, being here in Memphis, it's always been Cowboys, Steelers, and then everybody else. That's how it's always been. And Steeler fans, you ain't left out of this either. You ain't left out as either. Even though I love, you know what? I love Mike Tomlin. You know, I mean, I hate that he is the only African American head coach in football right now, even though we had a couple and it just didn't work out for some of the other teams. The fact that he has done this for so long, for 15 years, 15, 16 years, no losing seasons and everything with that. I'm not really going to talk bad. I really have nothing bad to say about Mike Tomlin whatsoever. He is a heck of a football coach, but I kind of had to do that for the Steeler fans because, well, they kind of talk trash too. And to Patriot faithful, this is your lasting image as well. I hate the Patriots with a passion. It is always wonderful to see Bill Belichick fall on his face, and it is a beautiful thing. So I kind of had to do it since I was talking about Super Wildcard Weekend again. I hope I have not doomed us in retrospect to what I have just done. So, football guys, don't do nothing bad to us, please. Let us win this weekend. That's all I ask. But had to have a little fun there with you on that. So, yeah, wild card weekend, quite a few blowouts, but there were a couple of interesting games. And now we do move on to the divisional round. And again, I'm going to get to some of y'all comments in just a moment. Of course, again, as we know, Titans have held practice, and I got to play some music. I got some good music for this particular occasion as I get ready to talk about a particular somebody. The king is returning, y'all. Winter is coming. And Saturday, winter will be here. As Derrick Henry had another good day of practice, had some padded contact, and I just got to play this a little bit for everybody, but it was a very good sign towards him returning. Mike, did you get to see any of the videos of Derrick Henry practicing? What did you think? What did you see of some of the practice footage?
Well, first and always, a Lannister always pays his debts.
Exactly.
So I'll get that off my chest first. But I haven't had a. I've only seen just a little bit of it, but he looks ready to go. I don't see any flaw in his game. He's really amped up. Everybody's amped up that he's around. So it's just a trickle down effect with just energy. Everybody's feeling it. Everybody's got good vibes right now. It's setting up for a really good divisional round.
Absolutely. I definitely agree. I saw some of the I definitely saw some of the video, and I mean he looks fine. He looks fine. He looks ready and raring to go. And let's see. 615 says, if we go on to win the AFC, I'll be that crying girl. I can't lie. I mean, I think I'll be like super excited. I don't know if I would cry yet if we get to the Super Bowl. I think I'll be super jacked. Now, I will say this. If we win the Super Bowl, I'm not gonna lie. I'm probably gonna break down in tears of joy. I'm not gonna lie. If that does happen, if we win the Super Bowl, I will break down. I will break down and cry because I'm just gonna be so happy that I didn't even think something like that. I didn't think I was gonna live to see that in my lifetime. You get to see your team win the Super Bowl. That is like one of the happiest, most joyous feelings you could possibly have. We've all been there and had the misery of 1 yard, which again, I'll take this to my grave. Kevin Dyson was in. I will take that to my grave. I've said that many times. It will say on my tombstone, here lies Chris Newell. Kevin Dyson was in. That's all that's going to be on my tombstone. So I just, that is, incredible. So I have to say that. P Shark says I'm wild for that. I agree. Probably a little while. Hopefully, I didn't curse us in that. Drumstar says Steelers most undeserving team that made the playoff. Well, if the Chargers hadn't called a timeout, if the Chargers hadn't called a timeout, during the game with the Raiders, they would have been in. The Steelers would have been out, pretty much. So I'm just saying that could have been the case. But again, Derrick Henry has been practicing, does look pretty good. And I have the injury report I'm going to bring up, which is actually a pretty clean injury report that we have. Teair Tart was limited again, but did practice. Naquan Jones, Teair Tart with an ankle. Naquan Jones with a knee, full go. Buster Screen, hamstring, full go. Now, this was interesting. Jack Rabbit, which I guess I can still call him Jack Rabbit, ankle injury, did not practice. Was full go yesterday, but I know Ian Rappaport tweeted out saying he should be okay to go in this game. And Derek Roberson, not injury related, but did not practice. And on the other side, looks like some of the main guys, Sam Hubbard, Trey Hendrickson, all practice. Looks like Hendrickson, who I did like in free agency, will go in this game. And so injury report seems pretty clean. Mike, any thoughts on that?
And that's a good thing. I mean, that's great. Tennessee's basically showing up at the right time. And, I know it was concerning, especially going forward this season. Injuries just continued to pile up, and it just seemed like the biggest problem we were going to have going forward. So Tennessee's finally caught a break. They're finally getting guys back. They're going to be at full strength this game. So excited.
Absolutely. And Al Pierce, Oil Struck is giving you some love, giving you a what's up.
How you doing now?
Let's see. I'm not sure if I want to put all my hopes in Henry coming back on the playoff rhythm out of injury. Need to be careful with not sleeping on the Bengals. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I expect, the Bengals are a good football team, and we're going to get into them in just a bit, but they're a good football team. No doubt about it. I'm impressed with them. With Burrow, you're not going to hear me say anything bad about Joe Burrow. I like Joe Burrow. I like Joe Burrow more than I like most quarterbacks. So this, is going to be a very interesting matchup. But before we do get into that one, and, we really don't have anything with stock up, stock down because we didn't play last week or a, dunce or, well, I mean, we do have a star of the week and dunce of the day from Wild Card Weekend. I actually have a couple on that. But before we do get into that, let's just talk a little about the other matchup in the AFC. The Chiefs, a 2-point favorite at home against the Buffalo Bills. They're playing on Sunday evening at 5:30. Mike, what are some of your thoughts on this game, and who would you possibly be going with in this situation?
Well, to most analysts, they're already saying this should have been the AFC Championship game, but it's a divisional game, so we'll just have to settle with that. But, I like the way the Bills played against the Patriots. They were really just thorough and they handled business. It's really the first game I felt that Josh Allen really played to his potential, especially since it felt the last couple of weeks he was kind of just really just phoning it in. And the same can be said with the Chiefs. I really felt that the last 4 or 5 weeks, they were really just getting the way they needed to play. So consistency was everything for the Chiefs. They got hot at the right time. And it's just unfortunate they didn't lock up the first seed, but, their loss is our gain. But
Absolutely.
Overall, I love the offensiveness of this game. I think it's going to be huge from a passing standpoint. I think you're going to see basically an air show to say. So along those lines, I like the Chiefs at home. I feel they're the better team at home. Buffalo does have a better defense, but I still feel, when you have Patrick Mahomes, you just can't undervalue him.
You know what? I can definitely agree. I think this is a good battle. And actually, even though we are playing the Bengals, I would have rather have been the Raiders. But in a way, this is a very good situation for us. So if if the Titans, take care of their business against Cincinnati, and that's not, an easy task by any means. These two teams, I think, are going to be slinging it out so hard and going at it, going shot for shot. Could either of these teams have anything left to give to us if, we get to the AFC Championship knowing number one is going to be in Nashville, and, they may not have much left to give because they're going to be so much trying to beat each other and trying to outduel each other, then that could be the perfect recipe for us. Granted, we got to take care of business ourselves against Cincinnati. So I'm not looking ahead at all because we got to take care of business number one before we can even think about that. But I originally liked the Chiefs in this one as well, but there will be no surprise if Buffalo wins this game. I think Buffalo could definitely go shot for shot with them. But I will say I think I trust the Buffalo Bill defense. If a stop needed to be made, I think Buffalo's defense makes that stop instead of Kansas City's defense making that stop, in my honest opinion. So that's kind of what I do feel about that. But, I'm going to quickly go into a quick two-tone blue star of the week. And this is really from the entire NFL weekend, from everything that was happening. And, agree with me or disagree with me on this. This is just from Wild Card Weekend, from what I observed. And honestly enough, I will have to say the star of the week, I got to give it to Buffalo. Because they're the first team, I want to say, either ever or in at least the last 50 some odd years, they scored touchdowns on every single possession. They had no punts, no field goals, no turnovers. They scored every time they touched the football. I just thought, by God, I have to admit, that is impressive, because that is something that not many teams are ever going to be able to say, that the punter, he didn't have to do no work whatsoever. So, what would you think about that? What was the best thing from the weekend?
Well, Buffalo is impressive, but I would have to say I'll go with two right now. First, I'll go Tom Brady, just for the fact that, Tom Brady didn't have half his receiving core. They didn't have Leonard Fournette. Basically, you have a banged up Gronkowski, and you basically got, Mike Evans. But, they were still able to get the job done. So I just think that just shows just greatness. Once again, the Tom Brady has the ability to basically just go out, and even with a shortened playing roster, can go out and get the job done. And second, I'm going to go with Joe Burrow. Joe basically just went out. He had a lot on his shoulders for a second-year quarterback. Cincinnati hadn't won a playoff game since 1991. Mm-hmm. And basically the whole city's leaned on him, and he has delivered so far. And even with the defense gassed, the Bengals did everything they could to put themselves in position to win that game. And I'll give the defense a little credit for making the key stop, making the interception. So, I'll go with Joe Burrow there. I like what he's done, and I'm more than happy to share. We'll go halvesies on that star. We'll give one half to Tom Brady. We'll give the other half to Joe Burrow.
Absolutely. I definitely could go with that. Like I said, you're not going to hear me say too many bad things about Joe Burrow at all, because, I liked him coming out of LSU. I still remember there was a time, a long time ago, where, in a mock draft, he was slated to go to the Titans. I believe it was like they were slated to pick like 18th or 19th in the draft, which I'm like, if Joe Burrow has the year that we all thought he was going to have, I'm like, so much for us getting him at that particular point. Would have been nice if we had Joe Burrow, but hey, I'm good with Ryan Tannehill right now anyway. But always, as a star of the week, there is a dunce of the day. And I kind of already mentioned this earlier, the Dallas Cowboys, especially Dak. On that last play, you run a quarterback sneak. You got to know, in that situation, you got to get the ball to the official. The official has to touch the ball, and then they can set it, and then you be able to spike it. You're trying to spike it yourself. If the ref doesn't touch the ball, that's not going to be a legal play. You have to know better to do that. You got to understand that. And, they came out slow in that game. San Francisco took advantage, and really, the Dallas Cowboys really had to fight uphill from behind pretty much the whole game. And then another one is the Booger Man. The Booger Man, Jerome Boger, probably the worst official of all time. And, was just, again, bad officiating indeed. And, of course, rumors have come out. His crew will not officiate again in the playoffs, which I think that is wonderful news on that, is that he won't be officiating ever again in this playoff. So those are my dunces of the day. I could have went with Big Ben, but you know what? I'm not really going to do that. Big Ben, shout out to you. Great career. definitely going to be in the Hall of Fame. So I'm not going to put Big Ben in that category.
And I'll add on to the dunce of the day. What Dak Prescott said at the end of the game, especially throwing things at the refs, was just totally inappropriate and just unbecoming of someone that's supposed to be the face of your franchise. I really felt it was in poor taste. And, that's the last thing anyone needs to be doing is throwing stuff out on the field, especially at players or officials. So him just, even if it was jokingly, it wasn't something that should have been said, even in jest.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. And I know some people are saying Jimmy G being the star of the week. Jimmy G definitely had a very good game, even though he had a bad interception, but he actually had a very good game in all. To my little brother, Christian, what's going on? Which I know you're a big Bengals fan, which I still don't know where I went wrong in life. You becoming a Bengals fan and not a Titans fan. I really don't understand. I don't get it. To this day, I do not understand my own brother and how he likes the Bengals. But hey, I have taught him you got to make your own decisions. You're a grown man. You make your own decisions and you got to live with them. So in the end, I'm okay with that. Dunks of the week, Cowboys and Mike McCarthy, horrible decision. And obviously, it looks like my brother is a fan of you now on that. So,
He's not going to like what I got to. He's not going to like what I have to say, though.
hey,
He's not
Christian,
going to like what I
there
have
it
to say
is.
when we break this game down.
There it is. You're not gonna like. He's definitely not gonna like what I gotta say. So let's just definitely get in on that. And we're not really gonna have much to pick my brain, but if y'all have some questions, definitely go ahead and get some questions out, and we'll probably do some questions more towards the end of the show. So we're kind of switching it around a little bit. But now we're gonna talk Titans Bengals. Let's get right into this game. Let's go ahead and chop it up right now. Titans open up as a 3.5-point favorite over the Bengals Saturday, 3:30. I will be there. I will be driving up Saturday morning. As soon as I get off work, I am hitting the highway, heading up to Cashville, my old stomping ground, my old home, to see this game personally. And you cannot stop me from being excited. I am very much excited about this game and what to look for. And, this is going to be definitely fun. Uh, we go over a little bit of what happened with the Bengals in the last game. Of course, they beat the Raiders 26-19. Joe Burrow, pretty efficient, 24 of 34, 244 yards, 2 TDs. Joe Mixon was not really that effective, even though he did have a couple of nice catches on some screens, 4 for 48 yards. He had 17 carries, 48 yards. Jamar Chase was the star again, 9 catches, 116 yards. He had also a couple of jet sweep carries for 23. They have a nice tight end in CJ Uzuma, 6 catches, 64 yards and a touch. Bengals had about 3 sacks, and then they forced a couple of turnovers in that game. And I have to admit, I was actually impressed with the defense of the Bengals, even though I don't think it's indicative of what I think of the Bengals defense as a whole. But I have to admit, I was a little impressed with the Bengals defense. And, this will definitely go into the Blue Enforcer 4 points to victory. So let's talk about this game as far as, things that Cincinnati does well and how the Titans can get a victory. So let's go to the Blue Enforcer 4 points to victory. All right, so we're ready for the Blue Enforcer 4 points to victory. And Mike, I'm sorry if I'm talking your head off. Anything that caught your eye from the Bengals Raiders game, and as you've taken a look at some of this in the game. What were some of your thoughts when you first figured this was going to be the matchup?
Well, really, I just kind of just came into the mindset where it was really going to be the Bengals from the get go. Um, really, we're very evenly matched up. I feel quarterback play, Joe Burrow right now has the edge. The running game right now, Joe Mixon's their key guy. He's been phenomenal just stepping in and just handling business for them. And their receiving core right now, with the tandem of Chase, Boyd, and Higgins right now, you know, as good as they are, they could get even better as time goes on. But, staying in the moment right now and staying focused to what we have to do at hand, one of the key things that I noticed about the Raiders in the Cincinnati game was, by the fourth quarter, Cincinnati's defense was gassed. You know, so the Raiders were able to move the ball down with ease, and it was very interesting to just see them trying to even just get their rotations out because they were already running out of linemen. So at that point, I just felt like, their defense is a little sus.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And just a couple of things first, to tighten up, I appreciate the super chat. Thank you for that. He says, "Let's go Titans," and tighten up. I definitely do appreciate the super chat. Thank you so much for that. Tighten up. I appreciate that. Out the crib. Y'all make sure y'all hit that bell. Hit that bell on the page to get the notification so you know when I do go live. And definitely make sure y'all follow up on the Power Hour as well. Hit that button as well. So when he goes live, y'all know what's going on because he brings some great content, breaks down stuff very, very well indeed. So y'all make sure y'all hit the bell on my page on Titans and Truth as well as the Power Hour as well. And I'm with you. I think that Bengals defense is very suspect. Absolutely. I think this game, that was something that I was impressed about, but I was listening to A to Z Sports with Austin and Zach, and he brought up, yeah, the Bengals are number 5 against the run. But as I took a look at it, I'm like, when he was saying it, I'm like, okay, he's probably thinking, that number 5 ranking is a fraud. And I agree with that. The Bengals finishing number 5 against the run, it's a fraud. It's not indicative of what you really see. If you go back and look at some games, again, I watched the Raider game. I watched the game where the Cleveland Browns blew them out and everything. And Nick Chubb, Josh Jacobs, they were kind of moving the ball at will in the run game. They were getting decent chunks on that run defense, and and the defensive line for the Cincinnati Bengals a little thin because a couple of guys are going to be out. A couple of their big defensive linemen are going to be out. Ogunjobi and Mike Daniels are both going to be out for this game. They're not going to play, even though Hubbard and Trey Hendrickson are going to play. And I mean, I know they got guys like BJ Hill and DJ Reader, who Mike Vrabel absolutely loves. I think Vrabel and J-Rob tried to get DJ Reader and just wasn't able to sign him. Cincinnati got him instead with that. So, I mean, that run defense is suspect. And, I mean, yeah, they have a couple of nice corners with Hilton and Eli Apple and stuff like that. But I think this defense can be exposed. And, that's some things that I'm definitely going to be looking for as well. And, that brings me up. And I'm going to get to some of y'all comments in just a minute. Josh, I see you. Steve Crosio, what's up with you? I see you in here as well. C-Dub said they ran all over that defense. I agree. What's up, Crosio? What's going on? Let's see. D-line needs to get to Burrow quick before he throws the ball. That's very true. Titan Pratt, what's going on? But this is where your season ends. I see Warrior 2411 saying this is where your season ends. So here is point number 1 that I have. We got to take away the big plays. make them go the full length of the field, limit explosive plays. They are tops, and I said in 20-plus yard plays, but they are mainly tops in um, 50-yard touchdowns. And so that's something that can be that's something that could be a problem for the Tennessee Titans is I hear some chatter in the background. Yeah, so I mean they have 8 touchdowns of 50 or more. And that is a pretty big deal. And that's something that the Tennessee Titans are gonna have to combat. So what were your thoughts on point number 1?
Well, it's vital to break down the big play and just get that in hand, because one thing that Cincinnati does very well is get the ball down the field with urgency. And the chemistry that Chase and Burrow have right now is the reason why they drafted him, for these moments right here, for these kinds of games. So
Exactly.
Tennessee's going to have to get there in a hurry and try and pressure him consistently. Now, the thing is, Burrow can move around and he can throw the ball with ease while under pressure. So the biggest thing is you've got to chase him from end to end and try and force him to throw it away.
Yeah. And and I think that's why I think honestly, this is where our defensive line has definitely got to come into play, kind of bottle him up in the pocket some, and definitely make sure that he doesn't have those escape routes to get out, because I think that was the problem with the Raiders and with other teams. They break outside contain, they give up outside contain pretty easily, and as a defensive end or an outside linebacker, you're always taught you got to keep your outside shoulder free so that if somebody gets outside, you can get out there to them and limit those type of rollouts and things like that. You got to keep your outside shoulder free, keep them inside the pocket, and then that's where, of course, guys like Big Jeff and Danico can do work, and that's where I think this could definitely be a benefit to us with this bad offensive line. But I will say I listened to Locked On Titans podcast, and he brought up some very interesting points as far as, Zach Taylor, they call plays. They know that their offensive line is bad. So they're going to do things to protect that offensive line from being exposed. I don't know if they're going to be able to pull it off in this game, because the Titans probably have the best defensive front in the league. There's not really one guy that you can go after. They got 4 guys that can get to the quarterback, and then you got Naquan Jones and Tier Tart, who are space eaters that can just clog up stuff, and then that's where Zach Cunningham and David Long Jr. can do their work as well. So, they got to go vertical. And Christian Fulton, if I'm the Titans, I know they usually don't do this, but for this game, I'm telling Christian Fulton, look, Jamar Chase. Fulton knows Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow probably better than anybody in this league. He's probably the only one that really knows both of these guys about as inside and out as possible. I mean, especially Jamar Chase. They went to high school together. They went to college together. They practiced against each other. And, I believe even Jamar Chase has said it, that Christian Fulton has gotten the upper hand on him at times. And so that's going to be an intriguing matchup right there. And I can't wait to see that matchup, Fulton and Chase going at it. And so, if that happens, that's a way we could take Jamar Chase away in this game. Much easier said than done. But that leads me to point number 2. And this is on both sides, but especially on defense. Do your job. I know I'm taking it away from the Patriots, but you play with discipline. You wrap up and tackle well. We're going to have to only get pressure with 4, maybe occasionally bring a 5th man on a blitz, but you got to put Burrow down on his tail. They've given up 55 sacks, and we got to force a turnover or 2. So what do you kind of think of this second point as far as doing your job? You got to play with discipline, especially against a guy like Joe Burrow, who, if you don't play with discipline, he can take you down.
Well, one thing that Mike Vrabel stresses to his team is fundamentals. The way you win football games is through good fundamentals. You've got to do the basic things, like you said, like tackle, wrap your guy up, no penalties. It's a mental game just as much as it is a physical game. So going forward, you're really looking at a situation where Tennessee has to basically just outthink and outsmart the Bengals at their own game. You know, Making another point also, the Bengals are one of the worst teams in third down efficiency. So they're going to do whatever they can to try and put the pressure on Burrow and shut up that running lane if they have to get Mixon involved. The biggest thing is you can't give them any kind of leeway or any kind of just nuance to just try and find certainty of something that's going to work down the road. If the throwing game's not working, they can try and go to the running game. So the biggest thing I know Vrabel's stressing is they can't get lax like they have some of the other games and let them
Mhm.
come from behind if we get an early lead.
Yeah, and that is definitely key on that because again, a lot of things they like to do a lot of different things. They like to do the jet sweeps with Jamar Chase as we had a comment on that. Paulie D saying they love the jet sweep. That much is true with Jamar Chase. They definitely don't mind pulling out a few tricks. They like the screen game. They're gonna try to get to the edges. And the Titans have done very well at limiting the outside run, getting out to the edge. They have done pretty well in that regard. And so that's where, again, a defensive line has to dominate up front and has to be able to get some damage done. And wow, we got a third guest coming in to join us. So got to bring him in. If y'all are not familiar with this guy, my guy, the one and only Mr. Ken Moore, has joined us from exile, has come out of exile to join us.
It's
Uh,
good to be back, my brother. Good to be back.
Man, definitely. I mean, I feel honored. I got a legend in the building. I got a up and coming legend. A guy that's been doing it good for a good while, and a guy that's been doing it, as long as I have. So, dang, I feel special right now. So, Ken, welcome in. As me and Mike from the Power Hour, we were talking about a couple of keys to Blue and Force of 4 points to victory. Of course, saying take away the big play from Cincinnati, and also just to do your job. Play with discipline, wrap up, tackle. We know they like to run the jet sweeps. They like to run a lot of screen game with Mixon. They definitely, as Power Hour mentioned, they love to get vertical. They like to get the ball down the field. They have 8 explosive touchdowns of 50 or more, which is more than a lot of teams have combined. So, what were your thoughts on those first couple of points on that? And, as far as from the defensive side of the ball, what are you looking for the Titans to do against the Bengals?
Well, you kind of mentioned that you have to take away the big play, right? And the Titans have done a great job of that, save the second half of the game against Houston when they made, Amendola look like he was a 25-year-old 4-year guy, instead of a 35-year-old guy. We've done a
Right.
great job of taking away the big play from guys, mostly the second half of the season. So you have to take away the big play, make them drive down the field, make them show that they can be patient and go on a 10-play, 60-yard, 7-minute drive. And if they can do that, great. You tip your hat to them, you get the football back, you try to stop them in the red zone and have a bend but don't break philosophy. But you play to your 2 deep safeties or 3 deep safeties. Don't give up anything cheap over the top. And I think you can control this ball club and you can squeak out a victory at the end.
I like that, and I like where you're coming from with that. Indeed. So I mean, and that's I think this is where, if they're liking to go vertical, this is where Amani Hooker, which him and Dane Cruikshank can do a very good job on making sure CJ Azuma is not as effective. And then Byard, he plays that deep ball probably better than anybody in the NFL. He excels in something like that. And especially across the middle, David Long Jr. is underrated in his coverage skills. He's gotten a lot better at coverage in the middle of the field. And I think that's something that kind of goes a bit underrated, if you ask me personally. I think that's something that is very beneficial. David Long, I mean, him and Zach Cunningham, I think they're the starting linebackers next year going forward, but I'm not going to jump ahead of that. But again, I think this defense, I think, is going to be ready for what Joe Cool has to bring to the table. If they could just get some pressure, get to him, cause a couple of turnovers, and that's what the Cleveland Browns did very well. And just, if you stick to the guys, just don't let them get any room. Don't let them give any room. You put them in those second and third and long situations. So definitely you got to win first down. You win first down, you have a chance against this team. And so now point number 3, and I'm going to get to Power Hour first on this. It comes down to the most basic fact of football. We all know this. We've played ball before. Ken, you covered a lot more football than I have. Win the war in the trenches. And this is on both sides, especially on the offensive side of the ball. They have a weakened defensive line right now. And again, no disrespect to Trey Hendrickson. I love that cat. I like Trey Hendrickson. Ken, we talked about this during the offseason when you did your free agency. You did your free agency show during the offseason. Trey Hendrickson was one of those guys we thought the Titans might need to really take a look at this guy and go get him. And in the end, be who you are. Dominate up front on both sides of the ball and get the ball, get the king, aka also / the Duke of the Gulch, Deontay Foreman, in the flow of the game and put Burrow on his back. So that's both sides. Gentlemen, your thoughts on my third point, winning the war in the trenches.
Well, really, that's just how you win football games. It's always the unsung heroes, the offense and the defensive lines. But the one thing that Tennessee has the hugest edge right now over is depth. They have so much defensive line depth, and that's going to cause a lot of trouble for Cincinnati. So we can keep our guys rotated fresh in and out, and Burrow's going to have a hard time, especially with a lot of the coverages I figure that they're going to throw at them early and often.
I definitely agree, and that's always a good thing, and I definitely agree with that as far as depth. Ken, I'm gonna let you chime in as well.
Yeah, I appreciate the love in the chat. Hey, I'm glad to be back, guys. It's been a long time away from chatting with everybody, and I'm honored to be back. So I appreciate the love in the chat. And yeah, absolutely, I agree with you. Zach Cunningham coming in from Houston, that was a tremendous pickup. One of the probably one of the best in-season pickups of any team in the NFL. Came in, became an immediate starter. When you can come in, and Rashard Evans hasn't been great, but Rashard Evans has been a 4-year starter, and we know how loyal Mike Vrabel is, and I'm sure that had to be a very difficult conversation for Mike Vrabel to have with Rashard Evans, to say, hey, you're no longer the starter, and we got Zach Cunningham coming in to be the starter. And I hope that Rashard Evans has bought in. I haven't heard anything negative, but I hope that he has bought in to being a secondary player. And if him and Jayon Brown, along with Long and Cunningham, that 4-man rotation at the inside linebacker position, there are not 4 faster inside linebackers remaining in the playoffs right now. And you combine that with Bud Dupree and Autry on the outside, along with Landry and Simmons in the middle, you got a front 7 that's going to raise havoc on Joe Burrow. This is not going to be the same defense that Joe Burrow saw in 2020 when they lit up the Tennessee Titan defense. This is a completely different front seven, and he's not going to have all day in the pocket to sit back there and have a sandwich and Kool-Aid and pick apart our secondary. So I expect a lot of pressure from the Titans front seven in this ball game, and as you guys mentioned, that's going to be the key. On the other side, our offensive line is going to have to do the job. Their defensive line is beat up, so you're going to have to attack the middle, and that's going to be up to Todd Downing. Don't get cute this week, Todd Downing. Don't get cute. Give the ball to Deontay Foreman. Give the ball to Derrick Henry. Run the ball 40 times. That's my magic number. 40 rushing attempts for the Tennessee Titans in this game. You run the ball 40 times in this game, you average 4 yards a carry, you win this game going away. You try to get back there and get cute and have Tannehill throwing the ball 35, 38 times, then you're asking for trouble against those edge rushers coming from Cincinnati. But you attack the middle of the field, you let Foreman and Lillard and Deontay and King Henry, you split those carries up among the three of them, let them run that ball 35 to 40 times, you win this ball game going away.
Absolutely. And Rashid is agreeing with you. Said no sandwich and Kool-Aid allowed.
No sandwich and Kool-Aid, man. No sandwich and Kool-Aid.
Man, I love Kool-Aid, you know. Kool-Aid is a lost drink in the art of beverages, and that's got to come back, but not in this game. So I'm with you on that. Mark Jones says, yeah, the 3D attack. I am down with that. Definitely, because again, this is again another time where we have our entire starting offensive line fully healthy and ready to go. And again, this is about as healthiest as we have been all year long. Probably the healthiest we have been all year long, definitely. And with that being said, again, I did my Game of Thrones reference, leads me to my last point. Winter is here. The king has returned. First of all, run the football. They're weak against the run. They're weaker than their numbers show. So again, a lot of us like to be box stat watchers. You can't go off of that because a lot of times numbers can be deceiving. Numbers can lie to you. The film will not lie to you. And both of these guys know this. So you got to run the ball, be efficient, get AJ and Julio involved early. And I'd say both of them. Now, Ken just brought up magic number for running plays, 40, which I would say both Foreman and Henry need to each get 20 of them. Well, I would probably say this. Give Henry about 15 to 20. Give Foreman about another 10 to 15. And let Dontrell Hilliard get maybe 5 or catch a couple of passes out of the backfield. I could definitely see that. Use all 3 guys in that sense. But you got to get AJ and Julio involved early. Convert on third downs. You know, one thing about the Cincinnati Bengals, you know, I think it was mentioned earlier. I think Power Hour said it. Then, you know, Cincinnati not very efficient on third down on offense, and I don't think they're very efficient on defense on third down, and they're not very efficient in the red zone, which are a couple of places the Titans are efficient. Is on third down on both sides of the ball, and in the red zone, the Titans are pretty efficient as well. And so if you got to punch them in the mouth early. You punch them in the mouth, and you do what the Bills did to the Patriots. You do not let up. You cannot let up on this football team because you've got to just, like I said last week, you put somebody in the MMA, you put them in a chokehold, and you keep holding on to them until they either tap out or pass out. Plain and simple. You cannot let up on a team like this because if you do, they can't come back and at least make it a game. So and again, my magic number for AJ and Julio has always been 8. 8 targets at least for each of them. AJ and Julio should be your first, second, third, and fourth reads before you go to anybody else. It should be AJ, Julio, AJ, Julio, AJ or Julio. That should be your, as Miss Your Candy said in Django, that should be your first, second, third, fourth, and fifth concern. And once you have that, you have all of that, then you can worry about the grand design of everybody else, NWI and all that. Julio and AJ have got to take this game over, and they can. I think the middle of the field is kind of open for the Titans to do this. And, sprinkle in some Ferguson too, because Ferguson has started to come along a bit.
Ferguson stepped up his game the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, can't go right ahead. I'm going to let you go first.
Yeah, and you mentioned the third down again. Cincinnati, they're 22nd in the league in giving up third downs at 41%. They're in the middle of the pack in conversion on offense. They convert about 39.5% of the time. The Titans, 6th defensively on third downs. Wow. Whoever thought we would get to that point after last year when we were the worst in the history of football? We are 6th. Right. And that all goes through, as you mentioned, you got to win first and second down, get them in third and long, and then that way you can bring that pressure and force Burrow to get rid of the football quicker. So, yeah, first and second down are going to be key. Another key stat that I noticed today is that Mixon has not been running the ball well at all. I don't know if that's due to their offensive line production, but he has not averaged more than 4 yards a carry. I want to say in the last 7 or 8 games, he's been less than 4 yards per carry. I don't know the last time. I'll take a look here to see the last time he went over 100 yards, but he has not run the football. Cincinnati has not run the football well. That's why their passing numbers are really overinflated. They've relied heavily on Joe Burrow. And depending on what the weather conditions are, Saturday afternoon in Nashville, you hope for some wind, you hope for some precipitation in the air. That will slow down their passing game as well. So there's a couple of factors there. They don't run the football particularly well. So if they get in third and long situations, that's really going to help our defense out.
Absolutely, and I definitely agree. And Jeremy Squire was with you on that as far as 40 times. He's like, I hear you on that. And Titans Rossi, what's up with you, sir? Definitely glad you could join us for just a bit. Shout out to Titans Rossi. Shout out to Tennessee Titans Weekly. I kind of commented on their show a few days ago. They did a chop up as well and Titan Upload as well. But Power, I'm gonna let you go ahead, Mike, and get in on this.
I guess the key thing right now is we keep talking about the window. Tennessee's window is open. Now's the time to go through. That's what the Titans have to do right now. We keep talking about, when's it our year? Are we ever going to get and push ourselves to that point where we can be elite? It's here. We have the players. We have the depth. Everybody's healthy. There's no room for excuses right now. Tennessee has every opportunity to capitalize on this, and they need to do it now. We keep talking about, what we've been missing or what we haven't been doing. Everything's lined up. I've never seen a year in the Tennessee Titans history where everything just fell into place. They basically won the division after week 8, and they coasted, even without Derrick Henry. They basically had the first seed fall in their lap.
Mm-hmm.
There's no excuses now this year. This is the Titans' year. The window is open, and you either bust through it or you've missed it.
I couldn't agree with you more. I could not agree more with that. And that door, in the Matrix, Morpheus basically said it to Neo. And a lot of you, I know, have seen the Matrix before. He's like, look, I can show you all the paths. I can give you the keys to all the doors. I can even open the door for you. I can maybe be able to get you to the door. You're the one that's got to walk through it. And right now, the door is open for the Tennessee Titans. They got to walk through that door and take command. Take this thing because it, like you said, it's setting up just right. We're getting healthy at the perfect time. We got Derrick Henry coming back at the perfect time. We've rested. The Bengals played a game already. So, yeah, they have a game under their belt. They're coming in hot, but, like Power Hour said earlier, Bengals defense was gassed by the end of the game. And that was against the Raiders with Josh Jacobs, who is very good in his own right. Very good in his own right. Not going to take away from Josh Jacobs. But the Bengals in the fourth quarter, they're probably going to be thinking, Derrick Henry's ran over them and ran around them. They see him going out of the game. They're going to be like, oh, thank God, that 240-pound monster is going out. But then the problem is, 22 goes out. Lucky 7, another 30-pound back is coming in. It's like, oh, no, we got to not deal with him. No. It's like, you got to do with Agent 007, Foreman, Deontay Foreman, the Duke of the Gulch. You got to bring him in. And so, and again, people tend to forget, and Michael Robinson said on Good Morning Football, he's like, I'm concerned with what they may put on Derrick Henry, as far as the load. I'm like, do you forget they got a guy that wears number 7 by the name of Deontay Foreman? Now, is he exactly like Derrick Henry? Absolutely not. Nobody is. I've said this 100 times. Derrick Henry is not of this world, ladies and gentlemen. He is not of this planet. He came from Krypton. He crash landed on Earth as a baby. The Henry family took him in and raised him as their own, and we've seen the rest. The rest is history. That dude is a freaking alien, an alien beast, and we love him for that. He's the only alien beast that we will claim as an American citizen. That much is a fact. But then you got Deontay Foreman, who has held the ship up, him and Dontrell Hilliard, minus the fumbles. As long as that doesn't happen, that's the only thing that I can tend to worry about with those two. But, I mean, Henry was in there. We were like 1, 2, 3 in rushing. It did not drop off much with Hilliard and Foreman. We were only finishing about 4th or 5th. So it didn't drop off. So, again, a lot of these national media, they don't really pay attention. They do a lot of box score watching and stuff. And so if the Titans do play their game, get up, get a lead, score first, punch them in the mouth, and then you see how they respond first. And I agree with one of the commenters. I can't remember who it was. Definitely don't get cute. No slow starts. Yes, run the football, but I would say first play, you come out play action to Julio Jones. Come out play action, deep crosser across the middle to either Julio and AJ. Start that as play 1. Start that off as the first play. Just shock the crap out of them. They're going to load up the box and try to stop the run in the beginning. Hit them with that, and then the next play, you run Derrick Henry left. We know Derrick Henry loves to run to the left. That's his best spot. So that's what I would say. You can't start slow.
I got a question. I got 2 questions for you. You win the coin toss. You going to accept or you going to defer? You going on defense first? You going on offense first? You want the crowd in the game, give the ball to Joe Burrow, risk that he goes down and goes up 7-zip on our defense, or do you want the football first and give it to them to start the third quarter? That's my first question.
Ooh, that is an excellent question.
Because
that's a very
those things are important. Those things are very important.
It is.
Coin toss is very important.
Hey, we say pick my brain, and this is definitely one that will definitely pick my brain on this one. Titan Rossi, yes, I am going to the game, by the way. I would say this. In this instance, you got the crowd in the game. Derrick Henry coming back. You know what? Take the ball first. Take the ball first. Go punch him in the mouth early. Now, there was a startling stat I did hear on A to Z Sports, and I'm glad they brought it up. Only problem is that I worry about on 17 opening possessions, we have only gotten points on 3 opening possessions. That is a problem. That is a problem. So,
Titans are a slow starting team.
We do start slow. And so that could be contrary to my point, but I think I take the ball first. I take the ball first. You get this crowd amped up. You go down and you get a touchdown on the first drive. Henry's in the game. Henry's in the game. We're already stacked up with that. You go down and score first and go up 7-0. And I will probably even venture to say if you go up 3-0, get some points on that first drive, but I would prefer a touchdown. Then that jacked up crowd is going to be even more jacked up when the defense gets on the field. Because if we go up 7-0, and then on that first drive, the crowd is just on 100 and get some false starts. Make them punt the football on their first drive, and we have a chance to go up 10 or 14-0. That crowd is going to explode. I don't know if Nissan Stadium is going to be able to stand tall after this game. So I would take the ball first. Ken, what do you say on that?
Well, I'm going to go to Powwow. Powwow, what you think?
All right.
I'm going the opposite way. I'm putting my defense out there. Not only just to show Joe Burrow what he's going to be up for all day, but I'm showing the national media this is what wins Super Bowls. Defenses win Super Bowls.
Agreed.
This is the defense that you're going to have to see for the next 3 weeks. So you better get used to them. You better learn their names. You better get used to highlights of them, because this is what we're bringing every game.
I think I agree with Powwow. I think I would go defense first, just because we have struggled coming out of the gate early. If you can force a 3 and out, maybe give up maybe 1 first down, maybe a 4 or 5 and out, and you can get some decent field position. Because my fear with taking the opening kickoff is that if you return the kick, you have a penalty on the kick return. So now you're first down inside the 10-yard line if you have a penalty, or if you get a penalty on that first possession, you're 1st and 15, you're 1st and 20, you're behind the 8 ball because the offense comes out rusty. Do you start Derrick Henry or do you start Deontay Foreman? That's another question that they're going to have to factor in to the equation. So there's a couple of different questions you have to factor in offensively, where I think your defense is set. You know what you want from your defense. You have a game plan going in. If you can get them backed up, maybe they commit a silly penalty. Maybe they're rattled by the crowd being on the road. This is Joe Burrow's first road playoff game. He's Joe Cool, but that game was at home. It's going to be a lot different on the road than it was at home. So I would put Joe Burrow in the face of that Titans defense with that 60, 70,000 people roaring in the stands. Hopefully you guys have kept your tickets and didn't sell them, and you'll have 90% Titans fans in the stands this weekend. So I would go defense first if I win the toss.
Yeah, and you know what? I want to say the majority of the time that the Titans do win the toss, they do defer. So I agree. I like that. I like that strategy from both of you on that. I just figure, hey, get the ball, try to score first, put them behind before the defense gets on the field. But I'm with you on that because, Power, you're absolutely right. Because at the end of the day, the national media, they like I've said this before too. They like the sexy. They want the high scoring. They want the passing touchdown. They want teams that put up 30, 40 points and 500 yards a game. But forget, the main rule of football, and we all do this from pee-wees to junior high to high school to college to the NFL. Offense sells tickets, defense wins championships. And the Titans have the better defense. The Titans have the better defense. The Titans have the better running game. Those things work together extremely well. A run game and a defense will take you much further than any quarterback can take, unless that quarterback's name is Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers. And maybe I'll slightly throw Josh Allen in there. But other than that, you better have a good running game and a darn good defense. And that's the thing that they're going to have. So I definitely like that question coming from you. Let's see. Trying to see if I had a couple of other questions. So anybody in the chat, if y'all got some questions, definitely hit us up. We're probably going to get ready to wrap up the show. Ken, I'm going to show this for you again because you were not on earlier. But just for any Dallas Cowboy fans that were on here, I just got to go back through the mirage of misery that Dallas Cowboy fans had to endure this weekend because, again, they think they're the center of the universe. We just have to show.
So you need to be playing the Curb Your Enthusiasm music. You should be playing the Curb Enthusiastic.
Curb Your Enthusiasm. Let me see if I can bring that up. I might be able to do that. Give me a second. Let's see if I can pull that up. That's a good I might have found it. Found it. Let's see if I can pull that up for the sake of this conversation.
Oh my God.
I am so sorry.
Homegirl right there, bro. If ain't this was a person. Man. Wow.
Of course.
And of course, Stephen A., he had to backtrack today. Yesterday, I think it was. I think Ryan Clark called him out. Because remember last month when Derrick Henry got hurt, he's just talking about, the Tennessee Titans are done. It's no way they're going to the Super Bowl.
I got to see that.
Chances are out the window. Oh, yeah, they got on it. I think it was on yesterday's show.
I got to see that.
Yeah, and then he had to backtrack and I didn't say that. And then Michael Irvin played the clip of him saying what he said. And he's like, okay, you got me. You got receipts. You got receipts on me. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I also had to put in a couple of, one for the Patriots and for the Steelers because I hate the Patriots. And, again, as I've said, in Memphis, it's always been, 45% Cowboys, 45% Steelers, and 10% everybody else. So seeing both of those teams go down, it kind of brought a little joy to my heart quite a bit. So, yeah, I definitely agree with that as far as this is concerned. So, yeah, kind of had to do that one. Hopefully, I did not mess us up for something to come in the future. I think we'll get the job done. So, to wrap up the show tonight, and again, I thank the Power Hour. I thank Kim Moore for coming on with me. But I kind of already did such a pie hole, but I'm going to do a quick blue bombshell, and I want to pay tribute to a lady that is a pioneer in the sport of basketball. This is something that I didn't even know about until today. Some of you know I work at a news station, and we ran this story about this very amazing woman. Her name is Lucia Harris, who has been known as the Queen of Basketball, and she passed away today. Not sure exactly of the cause of death, but she did pass away today. She is, she was the first and only woman ever to be drafted, to be ever selected in the NBA draft. was selected in the 7th round by the New Orleans Jazz in 1977. She also, the first time that the U.S. women had a Olympic basketball team, she scored the very first points for Team USA in Olympic competition. So she was the first to do that, and is the first Black woman to ever be inducted into the Naismith Hall of Fame. So this is again Lucia Harris, former Olympian. I believe she won a silver medal in the 1976 games for the United States. So there's the tweet that was there that came out by USA Basketball. So rest in peace to Lucia Harris, who passed away today. That was something I didn't even know about with that. And that's something, as a sports guy, I should have foreseen. And before I get to that, super chat. Thank you, Shane, for the super chat. Sorry I'm late to the show, but stay blessed and Titans by 14. I definitely like that. So, Shane, I thank you very much for that super chat. I definitely appreciate that very, very much on that. So that's something that I honestly did not know as far as that. But I'm gonna let you guys get in the comment and let you guys get some of the final words in before we wrap everything up. Power Hour, I'm gonna let you go first.
Well, it's basically just getting this off on the right foot. And the important thing, we've discussed is just the fundamentals. Tennessee's got to go out and just do the little fundamental things, what Coach Vrabel preaches every day to them. So, protect the ball, force turnovers on defense, touchdowns, not field goals, and basically just block out the noise. We know everybody doesn't believe in us, and that's fine. Tennessee's used to that. That's just one of the things about being Tennessee. But the thing is, with this year, it's about changing the narrative. And the one thing that I feel that this team has done the best job of, other than all the other teams in the NFL, they consistently find ways to win, even when they're losing. That's exactly the one thing Tennessee has done and outshined every other team in the league right now. Take that, use it as fuel. That's what's going to be the narrative here. Be the team that nobody wants to play, but nobody cares about either.
Absolutely. I definitely like that. Ken, what about your final thoughts?
Yeah, I love what Power Hour just said. You got to go out and be yourself, man. You black out the noise. Another thing I heard today is that Vegas loves the Titans this week. All the smart shark bettors are on the Titans. There's a lot of money coming in on the Tennessee Titans, not from the public. The public is probably going to bet on Cincinnati because Cincinnati, they had the big win last week. The Titans have been kind of out of sight, out of mind. But a lot of money is going in on Vegas, on the Titans this week. So that makes me feel very good as a Titans fan. Going into the ball game, everything is set up for Tennessee to win. Am I a little concerned about Joe Burrow and Chase and those guys? Absolutely. Absolutely. They should put fear in your heart. But fear is okay. It's okay to be scared, That's what drives us sometimes in life is fear of failure. And fear of failure will make you prepare hard enough not to fail. So I think the Titans are prepared. The Titans are healthy. They are ready to go. That stadium should be rocking on Saturday afternoon. Somebody mentioned in the chat, hey, I'm glad we're playing first, and then we can sit back and relax the rest of the weekend and let everybody else battle it out. And then that's going to give us another day advantage going into next week because Buffalo and Kansas City, they play the last game of the weekend, which means they will have the least amount of rest going into Championship Sunday next Sunday. So all things are breaking for Tennessee to take care of business. I fully expect the Titans to win this ball game. I'm calling it Tennessee 24, Cincinnati 16.
Okay, I definitely like that. I like where you're going with that in there. And I mean, you're right. And that's why I said, and earlier on, I'm like, if I was the Titans, one advantage that I think we have, especially when it comes to Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, there's a guy on the other side that knows them better than anybody else in the NFL. And that guy's name is Christian Fulton. He's been up against Jamar Chase a bunch of times. He's been against Joe Burrow a bunch of times. He knows what they like. He knows what Chase likes to do, what he doesn't like. He knows probably some of his favorite routes. He knows he likes to get vertical. Now, I can say on the other side, maybe Burrow kind of knows, okay, I know how to kind of play him a little bit on this, but Christian Fulton is a very smart and instinctive corner. And one thing about it is that he tends to get smarter. And you don't really call his name a whole lot because teams don't really throw to his side of the field very much. So if I'm the Titans, put him on Jamar Chase all game long. That's what I would do. I would say, Christian, you take care of Jamar Chase. You don't worry about nobody else but number one. You take care of him. We'll take care of everybody else. You just take care of him. We'll make sure everybody else don't do nothing else too. Now, I am concerned with the matchup on the other side with either T. Higgins on Jack Rabbit, and I am a bit concerned with, I think Buster Screen might be a better matchup on the inside. I think Buster Screen might be a better matchup on the inside against maybe a Tyler Boyd than Elijah Molden. The only problem I have with that, Tyler Boyd is a kind of speedy receiver. He can get upfield. Elijah Molden has shown, even though he has gotten better and is pretty good, he has had those issues with speedy receivers in the past. So sometimes those speedy receivers can get behind him, especially if they go vertical. If they kind of going across the middle or going those short routes, Elijah Molden does a good job of jumping on those. But if they go vertical against him, that's where Molden kind of has a little bit of trouble, in my honest opinion. And Ken, you're right. Vegas has it as a 3.5-point favorite. I was expecting that line to move a little bit, kind of come down to either 2 or maybe even 1, or by the weekend flip over to the Bengals being the favorite by the weekend. But as of right now, the line hasn't moved. So that is something that is extremely interesting. Power Hour, what's your prediction?
I feel Tennessee's going to get off to a quick start. Cincinnati's going to have a few fumbles in the game. I think Joe Burrow is going to feel a little overwhelmed, especially with the game slowly coming into hand. I think the passing game really takes off, and we see this offense become what we've wanted to see it all season. Julio and AJ get involved heavily. I think Derrick Henry and Dante split the ball a little bit. So you'll probably see one of them get about 100 yards, but I think the passing game is going to be the difference here. So give me Tennessee 34-16.
Okay. And you know what? I'm going Titans as well. I think, the Bengals got their first playoff win in over 31 years, ironically against the then Houston Oilers in 1990. How fitting. That was the last time they won a playoff game. And I just think, number one, the Titans, Kevin Byers said this in a press conference. He went back and watched last year's game against the Bengals and was like, I see, he was like, I see what we did wrong there and a lot of things. And like Ken, like you said, Ken, Power, y'all said it. They're going to be facing a whole different defense than what they saw last year. Chase wasn't there, but Higgins and Boyd were there last year. Burrow was there last year. This is a whole different defense. And I think the Titans are going to come out. This crowd is going to be extremely fired up. And that leads me, I forgot to mention my extra point on this. Stadium's going to be packed. It's going to be rocking. And you got to be loud, be proud, keep that energy. Let's help the team win, get some false starts on them and things like that. Keep that energy pumping the whole game. I'm going to be there. I'm probably going to have a lost voice by Sunday. I don't even know how I'm going to do a post game, with no voice, but I will definitely try to do it anyway. I may have to go, something like this. Welcome to the TNT post game. I'm Chris, aka Blue Enforcer. I'm sorry I have no voice. I was so excited. That's probably going to be me on Sunday when I do the post game after getting back. I'm going up on Saturday morning about 9:30. I'll get there. I'm planning on tailgating with everybody. So if y'all are at the Two-Tone Blue tailgate, or if you're with Miss Margarita tailgating in Lot A, definitely come holler at me. I'll be in my navy blue TNT Titans of Truth jersey. They're going to be in navy blue because they're undefeated in all navy. Remember that. They're undefeated in all navy. They usually wear all navy for very big games like this one. So be loud, be proud, pack it out. I see a few predictions. I think somebody said 34-21 in favor of the Titans. I think Diego said 28-24. Olderstruck says 34-24. Shane going 31-20. Philip saying 26-24. Mark Jones going 38-17. Drumstar saying 34-20. I'm going to go 31-21. I think the Titans get off to a good start. They get the lead first. The Bengals are not going to quit. They're going to come back. They're going to get some of theirs. But I do think Joe Burrow, he has not been on a true road game against a real team in quite some time. And, this ain't college football where it's neutral sites and things like that. This is where you are at a disadvantage. And Joe Burrow, I think somebody commented earlier, he tends to not play very well on the road in a lot of games. So I think that's going to happen. I think they're going to be so drained from getting that first win in 31 years. They may have a hangover in this game, and that could be to the advantage of the Tennessee Titans. So I'm going 31-21. The Titans are going to get this win, and I think they're going to get it done. So everybody, first of all, thank you for helping me get to 1,100 subscribers. Let's get me to 1,200 subscribers. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Definitely support the show and support these guys as well because they have a lot of great content. I know, Ken, you've been dealing with some things personally. I'm glad everything hopefully is getting better for you. Power Hour, I'll start with you first. Where can they find your great content on social media?
Well, thank you very much for having me, Chris. It's great being on your show, and you do fantastic work. And Ken, it's great seeing you and actually getting to talk to you for quite a while. It seems like forever. So just happy to be here and just talk football. It just feels great to just be talking playoff football even. So it's just very exciting. But guys, thank you for watching Chris. And like he said, check his channel out. He's always going to have new content out, but I'll get a quick plug in for my stuff. As always, you can find me at the Power Hour 615. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and on TikTok. I do my daily TikTok videos. And you can find me on YouTube. Just type in the Power Hour, Tennessee Titans. Look for Little Blue Mike. It's that easy.
There it is. And y'all make sure, he does a lot of good work. And it's not just Titans-centric. He definitely also talks about a lot of other teams. I was on his show, I believe, last week. We talked about the coaching carousel and what's going on there. And we were talking about, some of the best jobs that could be out there, which I think the Chicago job is still a very attractive position. I think the Raiders job is going to be a pretty interesting one. They're interviewing candidates. I think Rich Bisaccia should at least get an opportunity to still be the coach after what he's accomplished with them, especially with the turmoil that they have been through in season. But Ken, glad you're back. Where can they find you and when you start putting your content back out?
Yeah, absolutely, guys. You can find all of my content at Kmore Sports on YouTube. Please go over, hit that subscribe button. I need some more subscribers, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button over at Kmore Sports, and then also on Twitter at Kmore Sports as well, on Instagram at Kenmore Sports. We will return with Titans the day after. It will come out either Sunday or Monday, more than likely Monday, since we still have football games on Sunday afternoon. So Monday night, we have scheduled Titans the day after, the return of Titans the day after on Monday night. We will talk about the game. We will hopefully have a preview of the championship game. God forbid it's the last game of the season. So we're not going to even put that out into the universe. We'll talk about the Titans' big win over Cincinnati. We'll preview championship week coming up against either the Bills or the Chiefs. And we'll take a look ahead to what's going on in the NFC as well. So go ahead and jump over at K Moore Sports. If you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you know when the shows will be coming on. And we'll have a lot of great content the rest of the playoffs going into the off season as well. So K Moore Sports is back and back with a vengeance, guys. Thanks, Chris, for having me on.
Absolutely. And, and let me tell y'all something right quick with these guys before we get out of here. I know I've talked y'all head off, and I appreciate y'all sticking with me. I know it's been an hour and a half. I got to go get some food because the other half is waiting for me. She ready to have some dinner. So the fact of the matter is this. These two gentlemen know what the heck they're talking about when it comes to football. They know it. They love it. They do very well with it. And, I mean, Ken coming back in, this guy's on, works a little bit of ESPN as well, especially in the HBCU realm. And I know he'll probably have quite a bit to talk about, especially with Jackson State, with all the good recruits that they're getting. I mean, the number one recruit in all of college football goes to an HBCU of all places with Coach Prime, which is a pretty big deal. So I know that's something that he'll definitely talk about in due time.
Yep, absolutely. So once the NFL season is over, we will have a new segment. It'll be Around the SWAC. So we'll be going around the SWAC. We'll be talking to different coaches. We'll be talking to different media types within the different realms, Southern, Texas Southern, Prairie View, Jackson State. We'll be going around the SWAC, interviewing coaches, assistant coaches, see what's going up with their spring football, see what's going on with recruiting. So we will be having that covered as well. As many of you know, I do ESPN football for the SWAC during the football season. That's why I've been mostly gone throughout the second half of the Titan season. But now that college football is a wrap, then I'll be having that as well. Thank you, Chris, for pointing that out.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, definitely got to give back to the HBCUs. I mean, I always say that if I knew then what I knew now, I would have went to an HBCU. I should have went to Tennessee State. That's probably where I should have ended up going there, or either I believe I got into Mississippi Valley State. I believe I got in there. I probably should have went to one of those schools, but I was trying not to be at the party school, although I probably should have been. Could have had me a little bit of fun at the same time while playing some ball. But I wanted to bring this up before we say goodbye. I like this, and a lot of people have mentioned this. The game is going to be on 1/22/22. With 22 years since our last Super Bowl, you got King Henry returning, and obviously 11 times 2 is 22 at a 22-degree kickoff. So, I mean, 22, it just seems like that's the lucky number. So it's kind of, it's all, as you said, Power Hour, it's all seems to be lining up just right for this particular game. So
is it really supposed to be 22 degrees at kickoff?
I believe I don't think it's going to be that. I think by the end of the game it will be. I want to say when I looked at the weather last before in Nashville, I want to say well, I don't know. You got to go by hour on that, but I think the high for that day in Nashville, I believe, is 38. I want to say it's 38 degrees on that particular day. So let me see. I'm looking at the forecast right now on the Weather Channel. Let's see. Saturday, it looks like it is going to be a high of 40 during the day, and then a low of 24. So it'll probably be getting, it'll be probably around nighttime when the game is over. So it's going to get down around 22 to 24 degrees by then. So that number could definitely line up, and it is going to be Miss Mim's birthday. Hopefully we can get her a victory for her birthday. Happy early birthday, Miss Mims, indeed. So
Happy
everybody,
birthday.
yes, indeed. So everybody, thank y'all for tuning in to Titans of Truth. Thank y'all for letting me talk your heads off. I am Chris, aka Blue Enforcer, for Ken Moore, for the Power Hour, Mike Bishop. Y'all go check them out. If you haven't hit the subscriber button, hit them because they are great guys. Y'all have a great night. Get some TNT gear, by the way, as well. Let me point that up right quick. Get some TNT gear as well. You got the shirts, you got the hats. I'm probably going to be working on seeing about getting some sweatshirts or hoodies. So definitely be on the lookout for that. And Out the Crib Customs for hats. Get those things as well. Get with me if you want some more information on that. Holla, tighten up, because that's all we know how to do.